If you're tuning in here, I'm just doing these things to make everything happen because I'm the it girl for this technical stuff. And looks like I'm on target. Yay! Hello, it's me, Audrey Newmont, and you are watching Conscious Mind Tripping. Why do I call it conscious mind tripping? Because as we go through this journey of life, it's much, much easier when we're conscious about it, when we're aware, when we're intentional, when we're using our logic, our reasoning, our deduction, when we're making those intentional conscious choices. Because a lot of the time, we're not. We're stuck in the mire. So the whole idea of this show is to find ways to use the tools that help us to navigate in a way that gets us out of the out of the stuff, out of the mire, as it were. So I am looking here. I can see the comments. So for those of you that come on, post in the comments, ask your questions. Look who is joining me. Look, it's him, Nicholas Newmont.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
We just celebrated 24 years yesterday. 14.
We've been celebrating anniversary for several days.
Yeah, he took me downtown on Saturday night, and we had this fabulous meal at this place. What's the name of it again?
K Barbaro, and it's in level 8 in the Moxie Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. And it's a whole floor of nothing but restaurants and clubs, and very almost kind of edgy, definitely for a younger crowd, so to speak. Now, we were fine, and we were treated very well. And the particular restaurant that we ate at was South American food. It was yummy.
It was delicious.
And the ambience and the decor was really cool. So, and whenever Audrey and I go to a restaurant, the question always is, would we come back here again? And that was a yes, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, last night we went to the Landing here in Westlake, and we were always treated royally there. But you can see, if you go to my Facebook page and look at the 3 desserts that we were given, okay, we did not order them. Oh my God, our friend Luis there. There's enough dessert of one of those dishes that 4 people could have shared happily and said, hey, that's good. So look at my Facebook page.
One of them was a baked Alaska. It was on fire.
Right.
It's so cool. And another one was, oh my gosh, we don't need to talk
Monster
about
Banana.
It. Yes.
It's a hot fudge sundae on steroids.
Oh my gosh, it was good. At any rate, we don't want to talk about that anymore because now I'm off sugar again, as my holistic doctor would have me do. Miss Nancy Sachs, Dr. Sachs would be like, stop that.
Right.
Anyway, I wanted Nick to come in for a minute because we have an event coming up on the 22nd that is going to be phenomenal. It always is. And it always blows me away. And I'm telling you, you can catch it online or you can be here in person. But this is one of those things. Nick will be there channeling Merlin. Our fabulous Alexandra will be channeling Golden Arrow. And I'm telling you, these days, it's like when they are channeling, they are giving insight, wisdom, information. It's just coming from the divine. So it's amazing. And you can ask questions.
Right.
You add more to it. Sure.
Well, first of all, next Tuesday, Mainstream Metaphysics is back on the air this coming Tuesday night. That's the 18th. And Alexandra remotely will be my guest. So you might want to co-host that night because there may be a chance that Merlin and Golden Arrow give a sneak preview.
I could do that.
Yes, you could.
And she is going to be on my show, which is going to be on Monday rather than Wednesday next week. So I'll be having her on as well. So I'm thinking it's going to be amazing.
Right.
Yeah. She's my go-to. we all have our things. We all, and like last week's conversation was about how you know you need somebody to talk to, some kind of, person that will set you straight, that'll help give you a new perspective, therapist, practitioner, whatever it is. And Alexandra, when I'm having a really, really hard moment, she channels Golden Arrow for me. And every single time it puts it right back into perspective, every single time. So she's our it girl, along with Merlin here. Nick.
Let's be honest here in what I do. Can we sit down and do a reading on this? Don't let her kid you.
So no, but that's not if I'm having an issue. Those are things, it's like I'm curious.
She's
So
looking and wants me to look into the future.
yeah, or I want us to consider, because sometimes, like for instance, we're having a moment right now where we are considering expanding again. And we're looking to bring in this new modality for healing and other
Right.
things as well, and creating more of the wellness part of Newmont Center. And so there's a part of it where it's like, it's a lot to consider. So of course it's like, let's look at this from all these different angles. And that's, one of the ways that we use all of your gifts. But if I'm having an issue, I got to go to somebody outside the family, because that's kind of awkward. Anyway, so we'll keep you up to date on what's happening with this possible expansion. We've been looking to do this for a while, and it's looking like things are getting a little heated up again. So
Right.
we're excited about it.
We
What
are.
else? What else did we want to talk about?
Well,
Here.
we have several events that are coming up here. The one and by the way, the one on Saturday the 22nd with Golden Arrow and Merlin, I would, if you're interested, I would get a hold of Audrey or me and prepay and reserve, because I have a feeling it's going to be very full, because these events, these psychic fairs, events, channeled events, people are looking for information. And you may find that if you wait too long, may or may not be a chair available. And we don't have Alexandra in house that often. So, and on top of it, July 13th, we have a psychic panel, so there's a lot coming up here.
Well, we also have on the 21st, the night before our event with Merlin and Golden Arrow, we have a full moon celebration at our home. So if you're in the area, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a Friday night. It'll be more of a festive vibe with it. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I have these owls in our backyard that are amazing. There's 4 of them now. They keep multiplying, and they're
And they tell 2
incredible.
friends, and they tell 2 friends, and so on. And so on.
Right. Do you want to talk about my necklace for a minute?
Well, this was one of Audrey's anniversary gifts, and this is from our friend that we, used here, Lauren Grant, here in Agora Hills. And this is a lepidolite pendant set in silver, real silver, not plated nickel. And these are all moonstones.
Yeah, it's really pretty in person. He does good things on anniversaries and birthdays, buying me this fun jewelry. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. And I was in the grocery store and I bought 2 dozen roses, and the girl in the checkout said, "Special occasion?" And I said, "1 for every year." And she's like, "Oh, congratulations." She got it immediately.
There's a lot of people that comment about, having 24 years that we've been together. In September, it'll be 25 years that we've known each other.
Right.
And I think that is one of those things. It's like, it's starting to be a little kind of rare, people, it's so easy. I've been working with more couples lately, and like I just started with this new couple, and they were at this point of hopeless before they came in for the session, and they left being what's going on here. and then they let resentments build up, and one thing leads to another, and before you know it, there is this mountain of stuff that is like you have to wade through in order to get back to each other.
One thing I'd like to add, and this is one of the pitfalls of using electronic devices and the way we communicate now. Communication between people that's really key, so you're able to say what's on your mind effectively, is going to be more and more challenged as time goes on because of the way people communicate electronically via text. A few words, and we all know, and I've been saying for years, that the written word, even when it's lengthy, is challenging because there's no tone of voice, no voice inflection. So, teaching communication in the simplest of levels is going to be even more important as time goes on, as people rely on phones and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's funny. I have this text that's up here. It's message failed to send. The message to whoever, it failed to send. And I was looking at that, and it's like, that can really be used in this. It's like the amount of times that I'm saying something or sending something, and it's like the intention behind. I just had something with somebody yesterday, and my intention was like really good. I was calling because I was offering something really good, and then the person got angry, or they did get angry, and it was like, what just happened here? My message failed to send, I guess, in a way.
I think on that one, did you use the new phone number?
I guess. No, I must have used the old phone number. But again, I was looking at it, and that's what's been happening with a lot of people. So when they're communicating over text, or they're not communicating in a way where they're open to hearing what the other person has to say, I mean, the disasters that can happen because of the way that it's perceived. And so I had to literally be like, this is what it is. And I had to keep myself very calm and very patient, because I know what I'm doing. I mean, I know what I was saying in the conversation. So if you're having moments with people, I think whatever's going on astrologically, Nick, I mean, there's like people in their communication, people in their driving, it just seems like it's getting even more at this point. Is there something in the astrological life business?
No, not really. I think it's just the state of the world. And I think that coming up, and I can tell you this, that definitely Merlin, not sure about Golden Arrow, will be addressing the state of the world as it is and why people are behaving like that.
It's incredible. I mean, some of the things I've been witnessing out there, it's like amazing. Right. Anyway, so it's nothing at the moment.
No, we're not in Mercury retrograde. The only planet that's retrograde at the moment is Pluto. The end of the month, I think June 29th, Saturn goes retrograde, and then Neptune soon after. So we're going into the summer, that how the planets turn seasonally, so to speak. It's only Pluto at the moment.
Okay. All right. So we'll just leave it at that.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that you would like to share? I know you're only popping in here for a little bit.
No, I'm excited to have Alexandra with me on the show on Tuesday, because it will be a tease as to what's coming up. And I'm really looking forward to the 22nd, a week from this Saturday, to do that event, because it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in those events, you have Alexandra's Golden Arrow in the first segment. Then we take a break. Then Merlin comes out on his own. And then after a break, the last one, which is the longest one, is Golden Arrow and Merlin together. And if you haven't seen spirits talk to each other, you are missing out, because it's amazing.
I'm so glad that I thought about that all those years ago. I mean, it's like, how long have we been doing that with her?
I'm not sure when the first one was.
Definitely before the 2000.
Yes, excuse me. Yes, it was. It goes back. And it goes back to, since we've been downstairs, We didn't do it upstairs. We did it downstairs, which is 2018
Mm-hmm.
and after. So, but yes, I'm looking forward to it.
I never, because I look at different people who channel, like Paul Selig. I've looked at this guy Bashar before, and various people that channel. There's a podcast. It's called the Next Level Soul Podcast, and he has people on there who are channels. But I never see two channels channeling at the same time. So it's really cool when, like, Golden Arrow will be so Merlin. It's fun. It's just, it's, if nothing else, it's a lot of fun.
And I've seen on the replays where sometimes they're funny with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when I'm doing it, and Alexandra could tell you the same thing, we are completely checked out. We have no idea what's being said. We'd have to watch the replay to know what was said.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people say, being well-meaning, oh, when you said such and such, and it's like, no, I didn't say that. I have to say politely, I don't know what you're talking about because I'm not present.
Right. Right. So again, you can see that live here if you get your tickets soon enough, because we are going to have to cap it off at a certain amount of people. And then it'll be online as well via Zoom.
So it's $100 in person, 85 on Zoom, and we also have food refreshments. And that's why it's more here, live,
Yeah.
As opposed to Zoom, because we are going to make you very comfortable that day.
We do take good care of people.
We do. And also down the road in July, well, we have two events in July. July 13th is the psychic panel with Gina Ann, who was on my show, Inanna was on our show, and Mary Elizabeth, who we went to her event, an outside event this coming Sunday.
That was really good.
It was, and myself. And that is a couple hours of a panel. Then we go into individual rooms, and if you want a private reading, you're able to do that. And then on this is actually new and different. On Saturday, July 20th, is a full day crystal and mineral workshop. And that class was usually broken down into segments for people who were studying the energy, the sentient healing energy work with me. And that class is in effect now, except we have extracted that and made it a full day Saturday. So it's attendable by no matter what you do. If you're a healer or you just like crystals and want to know what they are and what to do with them, that is that day. And it's a full day, Saturday, July 20th. And I'm actually working on the flyer right now to get that sent out.
That's going to be really good. Also, Nick just started his sentient healing class, which I have been being the videographer and the Zoom person. It is really good. And I'm telling you, if there's still time that you can jump in on that. So if there's a part of it where you want to learn the energetic healing work that he does, it's a 2-year process, and he makes it a lot of fun. He makes it interesting. And you can watch the first 2 videos and jump in if you want. So it's not too late to join that.
Yes. And if you are interested, you can call me here at the center at 818-865-8770 or email me at nnewmont@gmail.com if you want to do that. So anyway, that's what I have.
That's what you have. Okay, that's what you have. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And I guess you will be heading home, and I will see you back there.
Yes, you will. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you for joining us for a little bit.
My pleasure.
Love you.
Love you too.
Okay, now on to what I wanted to talk about with you all. First, I want to look at something real quick because I'm not seeing. So I wasn't seeing comments. So here's the thing. It's like, I don't see all the comments. So I'm looking at Audrey Newmont and I'm seeing a comment there. Hello there, Mr. Johnny. Good to have you join me. And I'm just going to stay looking at there for comments. Also, I'm hoping that it picks them up here on my StreamYard. It's a lot to get all this stuff moving and grooving together. So I first wanted to start out by talking about a funny thing. there I have this alter ego, and her name is Pauline, and I think you guys have been told about her before, and I've told you a few of the funny stories of Pauline, especially if you listen to that whole thing I did about the teeth and the dentist in my timeline with regard to teeth. So now I'm at the point where when something happens, I'll usually just step back and find it more amusing than embarrassing. So I had another actually funny Pauline moment. I have a really great dentist. Her name is Dr. Kristen Whitmer. And I had an appointment with her on the 12th that actually got moved up. And then I also had an appointment with my holistic doctor on the 11th, Dr. Sachs. And Dr. Whitmer said, "Oh, you're coming in close to my birthday." And in my mind, it was like Dr. Sachs had said that to me. So yesterday I call her up, and what I do with people sometimes is I'll call and sing them happy birthday. So she writes me as like, "Well, thank you so much, but it's not my birthday." And it was like, ah, shit. And I told Nick, I was like, I could have sworn she said it was her birthday and I was coming in on her close to her birthday and all of this. And then it was like, and Nick even said, "I wish you had told me. I would have told you her birthday's in December." And I was like, well, it is what it is at this point. Well, it was my dentist's birthday, and I mixed the two of them up. I have a tendency sometimes because, I mean, we end up meeting so many people and there's so much information that goes on, and I just sometimes will mix people up. I did that at a party not long ago. So I just wanted to say these moments where I do whatever the thing is, I mean, always it's not on purpose. It's not like I'm looking to embarrass myself or make somebody else uncomfortable. But I realized along the way, it's like that part of when you're in the moment and this thing is going on, it's like I looked at it last night and it was like, is this going to matter in a minute? No. I mean, do they care? No, they're probably going to find it amusing. And I just let it go. And I wanted to talk a bit about that today because there's this thing that people do, and it's like they hold on to things. They hold on to what they have done that's embarrassing. And I know this one because I did it for years. I mean, for years. I would do something, Pauline would creep in, or I'd be out drinking and do something unfortunate, and I would just be mortified and I would hold on to it forever. So, what do we do when we do that? This thing where it's the intention, attention, and perception, those three buttons, the attention keeps being on the part where you're like, oh, I'm embarrassed about that. So what do? You recreate it again and again and again. And so what I've learned at this point is like, let it go. So there's all these things that people present when they come in. And a lot of the time, what they're doing is holding on to these thoughts, these ideas. Like just recently, somebody said something to me, "Oh my gosh, I said this. Do you think?" And it's like, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. And they were like, "Well, what if?" And I said, at this point, you'd have no idea. But if anybody knows you well enough, they will know who you are, they will know your intentions, and it'll be fine. But there was a part of it where they were just on a mission to be in those thoughts of something that wasn't even happening. And I'm just going to say that happens all the time for so many of us. And so it's really, really important, those critical thinking questions that you ask yourself in a minute like that. So if you find yourself thinking about something and it's worrying or it's anxiety producing, I cannot stress enough, there has to be that point for us where we be the adult in the front seat and we stop. Is this true? That's one of the most powerful questions we can ask ourselves. Is this true? I don't know. Well, if you don't know that it's true, if you don't know that that's going to happen, then you have to be within that reason and that logic and say, okay, this is just my brain going into overdrive, my mind going into overdrive, and I have every ability to be the conscious driver and to stop the overdrive. It's like when you're shifting the gears, sometimes we put it into that plus or whatever that thing and it makes it go too much. You have every ability to pull that handle back into the minus or into neutral and be able to pause for a minute and be in that mode of, is this true? I don't know. If it is true, if there is something, what can I do about it? How can I manage it? For 90% of all the stuff that we deal with, we can manage it. There are solutions to it. Like, I can't even express to you every single person that's come into this office, every single one of them, when they first came in, it's like they've got all their stuff that they're dealing with. And a lot of times it's a lot of stuff. 95% of those people have worked through those things and gotten on the other side of it. And maybe they've created new things and they got on the other side of that. I literally have one person out of all the people that have come in here that unfortunately is not getting what they want in any way, shape, or form. And sometimes when you're in the choice point and something has happened, you have unintentional consequences. So for this person, it's an unintentional consequence that they have to actually deal with. And it kind of is what it is. But even in the process of dealing with it, there's that part of being in the moment and doing what you can in the moment to be dealing with it. But for the most part, I can't even express to you enough. Most of the stuff, it gets worked through. And the trick with life is to be more intentional to not get in that kind of situation again. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit tonight because I go through my own stuff, and I alluded to it last week. It's like, how do you know you need to talk with somebody? I already said earlier that when I need to talk to somebody in person, it's usually almost always Alexandra. I have a friend of mine that I will vent to, but for the most part, I don't talk with that many people about the challenges that I face because I have a tendency, I want to sit down and do the work around it, do that fear into power work myself and reason it out, look at my timeline, figure out why am I getting myself in this situation? And sometimes it's not about me per se in the situation, it's about ways that people are being with me that aren't working for me. Like when I was going on that solitude trip, a big one of the challenges that I was working with was how I was in relationships. And again, I'm looking at the relationship and I'm a common denominator. It's about me. So why am I creating this? What's going on here? And I'm literally, the first thing that I talk to is my higher self. I'm talking to source and I'm being open to, what is this? Why do I create this feeling? Why do I create this scenario, this continual pattern with whoever the people are or the person is? So instead of looking at the other person and making them the problem, I bring it back to me. Why is this happening? And so sometimes it's about me and my communication. Sometimes it's like maybe I have allowed it to happen and the other person doesn't know. A lot of times the other person doesn't know, or they have a perception that's not accurate. That happens all the time. So when you are in the moment of a challenge, a lot of the time, people have a tendency to point the finger at the other person. And that doesn't change things as much as bringing the awareness back to ourselves. Why am I doing this? Why am I creating this? Why do I care? You know, you're asking yourself those critical thinking questions, and you're also looking at the timeline. The amount of magic that has happened from timeline work is incredible. Just started with a new couple days ago. I have this like really big paper, and I gave them each a bit of paper, and it was like I gave them specific homework with looking at their timeline. And most important part of the timeline is this choice point. So when we're looking at the past, I want to be in this choice point. I've got intentions to make everything better, to make the relationship better, to make the communication better, to make it where we're both getting what we want in the relationship. And we have to look at the timeline. Why are these things happening? What's the pattern that we've gotten into? And so instead of pointing the finger at, well, you're doing this and you're doing that, you got to back up to, this is what I'm doing. And why do I do it? What did I learn in my timeline about how to be in a relationship? A lot of the time, it's about what we learned by observing and being talked to with our caregivers, mainly parents, and sometimes the older siblings in the back seat. So when you're doing this, like when I was on my camping trip, I'm literally stepping back and I'm looking at, what's my intention with regard to these things? What is it that I have been doing? And more importantly, in the choice point, what do I want to do to change it? And I'm just going to say, I'm on the other side of it. I'm having a much, much better time with people and owning my word, and yet a new and unique way for this moment in time. That's a big part of life. That's a big part of making things work. You know, if you keep doing the same thing, if you keep being in these habits with people and you keep expressing yourself the same way and you keep expecting them to do something different, a lot of times they have no idea. Their expectations, they have no idea. And that is why it is wildly important, especially now, because we really need to bond together. We need to come together as a community, as families. We need to be solid in what we're doing with each other. It's an interesting moment in time. So I want to go into another subject real quick because I think this is so important. You know that I had my friend Inanna on the show the other day, or not the other day, a couple weeks ago. And she went with her husband. Well, I want to start by saying, in case you didn't see the show, she is just this phenomenal person and has really been such a amazing example of how to choose a new timeline, how to really be in the timeline and to create what it is that you're doing and moving forward. And her life since last August is so incredibly different. I mean, she's lost like over 140 pounds. She has a husband who had had a traumatic brain injury and a daughter who had a traumatic brain injury. And just the story and the amount that it dealt with all the four corners of her life. I mean, it was hard. So Anana has been following Joe Dispenza for years, like I have. And I've got his books up there. I've got one of them right there. And Dispenza is just one of my favorite teachers, has been for years, along with Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton. They call themselves the Three Amigos. So in the work that Joe does, it's pretty phenomenal. And he is really gifted at showing people how to be here and how to go to the next level, how to go to another timeline so that they're not continuing to repeat the same patterns, that they're not continuing to, be in those belief systems that don't work. So he's very gifted at showing you how to level up in the quantum field. And she manifested going to Cancun and bringing him. They were gifted a scholarship. And so she created the money to go, created the money to do those things that they did there. And I'm watching her post, and kudos, kudos, kudos. I love it when people set an amazing example and I can point to them because it helps all of us. And so Inanna goes with her husband, and she and I are friends. So she has told me a little bit more about the story. And it has been a road. So she goes, it makes me a little, she goes and she posts this picture at the end of it. And you can see the transformation in her husband. You can see that shift that took place where he did not have that light in his eyes. And over the period of time that he's been doing this work with Joe Dispenza, he's gone from not walking to walking on the beach, and just, one thing after another. And this is somebody that the doctors are like not having a lot of hope for, as far as I can gather. And so at the end of this, it's like he's had this they have had this amazing transformation. And I really want you all to understand they're not any different. What they're doing is it's not any different from what we can do. But what they're doing, it's important to look at how that's happening. So I came here this morning and I was meditating, and I don't know if you can see this, like I want to have you see it. Let me see what's coming up here. Hold on. So this is like a road. This is like our 101 freeway. And this is where we are knowing. And notice that I put the know as now, and I know it's backwards. I thought I put the mirror thing on. So I want to talk about this because I want you all to be very clear. We can all heal our bodies on so many levels. And there's various ways to heal the body. It's not all this or all that. It's a combination of things. But a part of it is understanding that the heart is always number one. The feelings come first. And that's very, very creative. So when we're in those feelings that are the hard feelings of life, worry, anxiety, stress, any of those feelings, anger, those are supposed to be where we're learning, where we're growing, and we're having that awareness of what's going on within the ego. That's where we do the process. But we didn't get taught that. So many of us have been lingering and loitering in those feelings for an extended period of time. And there is a part of it where many of us are, it's just who I am. I'm just an anxious person. I'm just angry. It's just who I am. And it's like none of us came out of the womb angry. We didn't come out of the room anxious. We may have felt those feelings from our parent. We may have gained that awareness of this is what this looks like. But there is a process in the 0 to 8 where we learn about how to be within our emotions, and we learn how to manage them. And for many of us, not manage them. I never learned how to manage my emotions. I just would be sent to my room to cry. If I was angry, go to your room. If I had many of those things going on, it wasn't something that I was taught, look, you're angry, let's talk through this, let's communicate constructively. There was none of that. And so for many of us, we don't learn what those emotions do. We don't learn how to process them, how to, be with them. So this book, Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, this was an amazing introduction. And in the back of it, there's all these different things that come up for us, and it's the probable cause. It's the feeling, the thought behind it. Like um, as an example, addictions, running from the self, fear, not knowing how to love the self. That's exactly it. It's running from yourself. It's like, I need to bury myself somewhere else. I don't want to be present with all of this. I don't want to be in this now moment. This book has all these different uh, cystic fibrosis, crying, croup. I mean, when I had my kidney stone, there was a part of it where kidney stones are lumps of undissolved anger. So, what do you do with all of this? There's an awareness. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. And more importantly, what do I do about it? How do I change it? So, that thing with my kidney stone, lumps of undissolved anger, I knew exactly where it was coming from. And I did a process to let it go, to transform it. But again, we don't learn that we can do that. So whether you're doing a process like Dr. Joe Dispenza does, or you're doing a process like Louise Hay recommends, or we have this one, Metaphysical Anatomy, this big book. And again, same thing. In here, there's all these different body syndromes, all these things that can happen in the body. And when you are able to use that information, there is a part of it where you're able to be in the process of healing whatever it is that's going on with us. So, why I bring this up, the amount of times that people come in here and they think that they are whatever. They think that they have psychological issues, they have physical issues, they have whatever's going on with them. It is amazing how much of the time, when they understand their timeline, when they understand what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and they have that awareness and they do whatever the process is, they get on the other side of it. Like, as an example, bipolar. The amount of people I've been diagnosed bipolar. Okay, well, then let's look at it. A lot of times, bipolar is simply dissociated. So when we reassociate, when they're able to be with the feelings in a new way, when they're able to process them, when they're able to own their word, when they're able to do all of the things that we do with these tools, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I forgot I was bipolar. So the reason why I bring this up, when you look at somebody like Inanna and her husband, everybody looks at like, that's a miracle. Well, Dr. Joe, if you look, he's got a testimonial page that's like insane. So many, many, many people who have been in that process, who have been able to heal their bodies, and many of them, just many of them, that have had things that are terminal. You're not getting past this. Like, I believe Scott's things, her husband, is something that the doctors were like, we don't think that there's a way out of this. But doctors don't know what all of this looks like from the part of owning that energy that flows through us as us, and having that ability to direct that energy, having that ability to use that energy to assist in letting go of the things that actually cause dis-ease. And so I love her story, and I love their story. Number one, she just has loved him through this whole thing. And I know that it has been a challenge. And to see that post and to experience that gratitude for them was just really amazing. But I want you to know it's important to really understand there are solutions for everything. There are solutions for everything. It may not be the solution that you're expecting. It may not be the solution that you would like to do, but sometimes when you force yourself to go that direction, it's like, why was I hesitating? This is working. So my invitation to you is find that thing that'll work for you. I think Dr. Joe is great. Louise Hay has some amazing material. Yvette Rose, her books are amazing as well. And those are just a few. We've got quite a lot of different people here that, in fact, there's another book right there, All Is Well, with Louise Hay and Mona Lisa Schultz. So there's all these opportunities. So if you're in a moment and you're having that struggle, stop. Look at what exactly the struggle is. What's going on with you? Sometimes it's a matter of taking a time out. Like when I was struggling a couple weeks ago, Spirit had told me ahead of time I needed to book that trip. So I booked it. It was like, this is perfect timing. I really need to be down. I need to be alone. I need to not be talking with anybody but that higher part of me. And so when you're having that moment, like one of my clients I was talking with today said he was taking a time out, and it's like, do it. Do anything that'll bring you to calm. So I want you to think about your own life. What are you doing in a moment where there's too much going on? How are you grounding and centering and focusing? How are you bringing in support? How are you in the process of letting go? All of these things are important. There's things that you can do to ground and center yourself. So we're in an interesting moment where things with our physical body can be kind of a lot. I've noticed there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I really need to, and I am managing what I'm doing with regard to my body. Like the other morning, Spirit was like, you need more exercise. And so I've been getting out there and finding the exercise that will help me to move my body a little bit more. And at the same time, I go out in nature so that I can absorb that kind of energy. Like yesterday, I just drove over to the beach really quick. It was all gray and yucky, but I just walked the beach and regrounded, centered myself, and got my heart rate up. And, it was valuable time. So look at your life. There's a part of it where there's a balance of things. Like, for instance, this person that I was talking to today, they have felt a bit out of balance. So make it okay to take a time out. And in that time out, what can you do that brings in love? What can you do that brings in more calm? What can you do that connects you with your source? Whatever it is that you want to call it. We're energetic beings. It's a fact. So how can you re-energize yourself in a way that is good for you? Write those things down. I think it's super important for all of us to change up the habits that we've been doing, because this is a moment where we're in such an interesting shift of things. Somebody was talking with me about this the other day, and we're in an energetic time where there is so many things that are pulling at us. There's all these different things that we're eating that we're unaware of that have the chemicals in them. Like, for instance, if you're even just drinking Coca-Cola or Diet Coke, that has an impact on the energy in your body. It also has an impact on the gut. So when you're drinking something like that, it affects the gut, which is our first brain, which causes us to have cloudy thinking. So just that alone, Look at anything that you're putting into your body. If you can't pronounce it, like look at the ingredients. Go to the store. If you're buying Coca-Cola, look at those ingredients. If you can't pronounce some of those things, you might not want to be drinking it. So there is a process of letting it go. I used to drink Coke. I used to like it with bourbon. I don't drink that anymore because energetically it doesn't do good things in my body. So when we're in this moment where there's so much that's going on energetically, just our little cell phones that we're on, that's an energetic that's happening. Our computers, an energetic that's happening. And then the 5G towers and all the other things that are going on. So the reason why I bring this up, when you can step back and look at what's actually going on in my life. All right, maybe I'm drinking this. Shouldn't maybe drink so much of it. Start titrating down. If you have 3 Cokes in a day, bring it down to 2 for a week. Bring it down to 1 for the next week. Then the next week, put in something different, like iced tea. If you like the caffeine kick, move it over to an iced tea. Move it to something that makes sense to you, but it doesn't have all the chemicals in it. Same thing with food. If you're eating something like Cheez-Its, if you're eating those kind of foods that have, if you look at it, all those ingredients that you can't pronounce, it's probably affecting your gut, which affects your thinking, which affects your mood. So when we're able to reduce those things down and you start adding in more things that make sense to you, like water is a very good thing, clean, healthy water, that helps flush it out. Start adding some other things that help to cleanse the system, like chlorella. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can do for that. Look it up. But the reason why I'm saying this, the reason why it's important, when we're in this now moment and we are energetically sound, we're sharp in our minds, then we are in a position to really process what are these feelings that come up. If the feelings come up and we're foggy thinking, if we're in the moment of being at the effect of all of this stuff that's around us, then it makes it really hard to process what we're doing. When you have that clear thinking and your body is lined up energetically, then you're in a position to do what it is that you need to do in the now moment. The reason why I wrote this like this thing with no and now, Dr. Joe Dispenza says it in a way where I think it's him. Maybe it was another person that I was looking at, but I was listening to somebody recently. I know who it was. It was Michael Racia. He's another channel, and he is amazing. I was listening to his communication book, and there's a part of it when we're in the choice point, like now is the choice point. We're always in this choice point, and when we're in the now, and we know when we're in the now, like I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing on so many levels and moving forward. So I know absolutely in my timeline, there I am. And I'm in the process of getting there, and my intention is set. But like what I put here, see this, I have expectations sometimes of others. Or this one, oh my gosh, it's not happening. Or I can't. I'm tired. All of these things that we say to ourselves, all of these things that we do that veer us off the path of knowing, those are just opportunities to do whatever it is to change our mind, to change that controller of us. So, for instance, if I'm wanting to create something, like Nick and I are creating where we're going to expand, I don't know exactly what it's going to happen. I don't know exactly when it will be or exactly how it's going to look, but our intention is set. we are creating an opportunity for people to take the healing of their body to the next level. And there's all these amazing things. We've already brought in Kara, who has the Rasha machine that is like amazing. So we want to take that to the next level. So he and I know, and she knows, and people that we're working with, it's like, all right, how are we going to make this happen? Not when is it going to happen? What are the steps that we're taking? And the intention is set, and this is what we're doing. There's no doubts. There's not a part of me that's going, oh, well, we thought it was going to happen before with this other thing, and it hasn't happened, and it's not happening. We don't go there. It's happening in divine right action and divine right timing. So with the intention set and the reason for it, it's all good, and it's happening. So I want you to think about what you want in your life. What are the things that you are creating? Do you want a new love in your life? Do you want your relationship with the person that you're in to be better? Do you want to make more money, more abundance? Do you want something different with your health? So your homework is be in each moment of your life and pay attention to the feelings first. Is there a part where you get frustrated? Is it a part where you go back to the expectations of the other person or the expectations of whatever the thing is that you're intending, that you go into, it's not happening. It's not happening quick enough. Or I thought this was going to happen, like for this healing thing, this new adventure that we're working on. There have been 2 separate times, one of them in particular, where, wow, I was thinking this is going to be great. It's kicking in, it's happening. But no, the person was not the right person. And so the universe, it's not exactly time yet. So I got to let go of my expectations and keep knowing it's all good. We're fine right now. And we brought in the Rasha machine. We're bringing in other stuff. And I have people that I'm sending other people to. And they have these great modalities for healing. So it's all good and it's getting better. So look at your life. Look at anything that I have my intention on what this thing is. Write the intention down. Write it in big, bold letters. I am. What is it that the intention is? What are you creating? Feel the feeling of excitement about it. Feel the feeling of, it's right there. Like I tell my clients, you got to go up the 101 freeway. Like that line of intention is like the 101 freeway. So from Los Angeles to San Francisco, it's a pretty clear shot up the 101. It's in San Francisco. You just have to pick it up. It's right there. You've just got to get it. But you have to pay attention along the way. Have you veered off of course? Have you gone over there to Bakersfield or Lompoc? I know you all have heard this before, but we have to take it to the next level because we're in a moment right now where, along with the energies of those challenging things that I was talking about, we've also leveled up into another energetic as far as things are easier to create. They're easier to manifest. This veil that we're in is getting lighter. It's getting easier to, I'm creating what this thing is. I see people doing it all the time. We're doing it. I'm doing it. And so there's a part of it where you really have to be in the intention of it. The universe is just always saying yes to whatever it is that you're saying. So if there's that part where it's like, I'm tired, I don't think I can do this anymore. The universe is like, I get it. I get it. But then on the other hand, if you say, you know what? I don't have an opportunity to be tired here. There's nothing to be tired about. I am creating this thing one way or another. And I am coming from being in the moment where the universe is flowing through here. And I am creating with that as my guide, with that as my source. There's where you're in your power. And there's where you are in gratitude, putting your foot on the gas of appreciation and making that thing happen. But I'm telling you, there's nothing that is unattainable when you have your attention set on it. I mean, and Nana shows us that with her story and all the other stories. I mean, I'm telling you, look up Joe Dispenza and just that work alone. There's a lot of science behind it. He puts the people up to electrodes and watches the brain reactions of what the mind is doing. So think about what it is that you're creating. It's like, I know I'm going to be leaving here and I'm going to go home and I'm going to hang out. And that's already set in my mind. It's going to happen. Life is like that with the things that we want as well. So take out the expectations, take out the timing, and just trust and know, and then pay attention to the feelings behind it. Hey, it's 7 o'clock. So do the work on this. That's a possibility for all of us. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, Inanna, for being such an inspiration. Thank you, Nick, for joining me earlier. And next Monday, I will have Golden Arrow, Alexandra, on with me. I would love to have you guys join us. If you have any questions, they will be taking questions. So I will see you then. In the meantime, have a fabulous weekend. And I love you all very much. Good night.